people are always looking for the shiny new topic, the new widget, the new lead pillar, the sexy new thing, right? How can we get leads from TikTok and this and that? What I want to talk about is something that we have talked about. We've started a little bit, but really has been a topic in our company a lot more, is a great lead source for people that own a home and have a lot of money. And how do we find those people and become a resource? And that's what we're going to cover today in talking about partnering with senior living communities.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited to dive into this topic. What I've heard this referred to by some is we often talk about geographic farming, and that is one version of farming, but there's also a term called demographic farming. And demographic is obviously hitting a particular demographic of the population, and focusing on the senior demographic is a big, big opportunity. So we're going to dive into that today. Welcome to the Whissel Way podcast. My name is Kyle Whissel, your host with Whissel Realty and EXP.
I'm Bryan Koci.
The goal of the show is to give you the tools, techniques, and tactics to go out there and crush it in your business. The way that we like to do that is to answer the questions that you have for us. So if you ever have a question you want to have answered on the show, you can always go to thewhisselway.com. Ask us questions on there. Subscribe to the podcast and YouTube channel. You can join our private Facebook group and email newsletter to get some tips and tricks of what we're working on internally. And if you're looking to level up your content creation game, whether it be audio, video, social, the whole nine, Bryan and I can teach you everything we've learned working together over the last 9+ years. All that at thewhisselway.com. All right, let's jump in. Where do you want to start?
First, let's start with the why behind it. Why are we going to focus on senior living facilities and partnering with them so we can get a lead after the fact rather than working with someone like Zillow or, diving into our community and getting direct leads?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we all want listing leads, right? Like that's the old holy grail. There's leads, leverage, and listings. Like that's what the old Red Book or Millionaire Real Estate Agent book talked about, is like listings are a big part of this business. And so, if you want to think about finding motivated sellers, we've talked about all the Ds. It used to be called like the 5 Ds. Now I don't know. What are we up to, like 10 or 15 Ds? Death, divorce, disease, distress, diapers, diamonds, diplomas, deployment, Democrats, all the things, right? Sorry, we live in California. There's people who leave California because of Democrats. Just is what it is. But one of those that is, I guess there are two of them in there is disease and death. They're just unfortunate parts of life. So you can choose to just like pretend like they don't happen, or you can just accept the reality that they freaking happen. And so you can make a conscious decision first to accept that these are just a part of life, and second, to help people out that are facing those particular situations. And if you have a passion for helping those that are dealing with things along those lines, building a business plan around the demographic farm of helping seniors that are facing these issues can be something that's both rewarding because it fills your cup, and it can be financially rewarding at the same time, because in exchange for helping these people with whatever situation it is they're dealing with, you can also be compensated for that. So I see it as a really good opportunity. Now, when I say this, like, don't do this if your heart's not in it. Like, if you're like one of those people who's like, oh, old people, they're gross, they stink, but like, this is not for you. Like, don't do this. But if you're one of those, like, you see a senior citizen walking down the street and you're like the first person, like run and open the door for them or to help them get off the curb, or, like if that's you, this is probably, a demographic farm. It might be something that could work really well for you.
And also to add to that, not only liking to help that demographic, but able to communicate at their level and at their speed. Typically, this isn't true for everyone, typically they're not the most tech savvy. Typically they're not going to be one that's super comfortable with things like DocuSign or contracts. Typically they're going to go a little slower, want you to talk a little bit more. Typically they're going to need some more resources that you wouldn't normally need, like a estate sale or a house cleaner, because they may have been in their house for 20+ years. Yeah. So if your speed is go, and talking to your grandma on the phone makes you pull your hair out, this is going to be even though it can be financially rewarding, it's going to drain the life out of you easy.
Absolutely. Yeah, so don't do this if you can't adapt. If you rely 100% on text messages and DMing your clients, like this might not be for you as well.
Hey, Grandma, what's your Instagram?
The other reason that this is a big opportunity is not only do we want to find listing opportunities, but we want to find motivated listing opportunities. And people are facing certain things, and I mean, we're helping a client right now that has a disability. They're in a 2-story home. They need to get out of the 2-story home into a 1-story home, right? So we're helping them with their particular situation, again, that we can be rewarded for that. There's a lot of people that they bought a 2-story home because at a certain phase of life that was perfect for them. Stairs were no problem. But as we age up, whether we face a disability or we just get old, we just don't want to deal with those stairs anymore. So there's a lot of people that are in a situation like that where physically they need to move. Alternatively, somebody might be facing dementia or something along those lines where they need memory care. They need or they just need a little help. Maybe they need assisted living. Maybe they need memory care, right? Maybe they just need to get out of the house where they feel really alone and really isolated. They need to get independent living. But they need to get in there. And those things are not cheap. Like if you've ever placed a parent or a grandparent into memory care especially, I mean, that could cost upwards of $10,000+ a month for memory care. Well, if somebody doesn't have long-term healthcare insurance, or they don't have a ton of cash in the bank, they might not be able to afford $10,000 a month for the memory care that they need. But they own a home, and that home has equity in it. It's not uncommon for somebody to sell their existing home and then use the money from the sale of that home to pay for the care that's required for that phase of life that they're in. So when you're helping somebody get the care that they need, a lot of times that's afforded by selling the home that they live in. And once you move to memory care, you don't need the freaking home anymore. So might as well sell the damn home and use it to get the care that you need.
So before we talk about exactly how to do this, how do you select the right facility? Do you select all of them?
So I guess there's 2 ways to go with this, right? You can try to capture them before they go reach out to one of these facilities, which I think you should do. How do you do that is just get a list from your title company, or there's tons of apps, Cole Realty Resource, or some of these other apps out there, where you can go in and actually put some information in and say like, hey, I want to see a list of everybody that lives in this area, whether it's a radius, you draw a box and put a zip code, put a city name, everybody in this location that's in a 2-story or more home that's over 2,500 square feet. Because at 70 years old, nobody needs that big of a house. So you can put that in and then put in people that have owned it for 20+ years. That's the last, because you cannot search by how old somebody is. Like if that exists, maybe it does, I don't know how to access it. But if somebody's been in their home for 20+ years and they're in a 2,500+ square foot home, odds are at the earliest, they probably bought that home in their 30s, at the absolute earliest. And if they've been in it for 20+ years, now they're easily in their 50s, if not older. And that's about the time when people start to think about getting out of the 2-story home, getting into something 1-story, or maybe they're needing some assistance with their living situation. So just simply 2 stories, 2,500+ square feet, 20+ years of ownership, just get that list. And now you can just direct market to them. You can send mail, you could door knock, you could call, you could run social campaigns, you can do a whole bunch of things, but you can hit them directly. That's option A. Alternatively, go partner with the different facilities in the area. People typically stay in the same area that they are living in today. They don't want to go far, right? As you're older, the last thing you want to do is go away from your circle of friends, which gets smaller as you get older. So to most people, as they're making this transition, which a lot of people don't want to accept this transition, this isn't always something people do willingly, they do it out of necessity. They don't want to be taken away from their friends. They want to stay close to their friends. So you want to, if there's a particular area that you like to work, you should probably go and partner with the facilities in that particular area, because the people who are going to go to that facility are probably already in the area. So you can be reaching out to these people directly, but then you go to the local facility in the area that you want to work geographically, and you want to go and build a relationship with them, right? The person who has the most relationships in real estate wins. That's just the way that it works. So you're going to go and you're going to build a relationship with them. Now, I've done this with some senior facilities in the past, and what I've found in my experience, is the person you want the relationship with is the leasing agent. They're the one who's actually having the conversations with people that reach out to them, whether somebody calls them, fills out an online inquiry, or just walks through the door. The leasing agent is the one that oftentimes is going to have the relationship with the client. That's who I want the relationship with. Because the leasing agent, they make money typically off leasing up units in their building. So what do they want? They want to lease up the damn units. Well, what do they often need to happen before one of the units can get leased up? Is somebody's got to sell the home so they can afford the care that they need. So when somebody comes in and they mention to a leasing agent, yeah, we want to come in, they get quoted. It's like, holy shit, this is $10,000 a month. I had no idea it was so expensive. Mom, do you have the money? No, we don't have the money. Okay, we're going to have to sell the house. So then they tell the leasing agent, like, hey, we want to move in, but we got to get mom's house sold first. Great opportunity for the leasing agent. Like, oh, do you guys have a realtor already? No? Great, you should work with Kyle and his team. They specialize in helping seniors transition into facilities like ours, right? So if you can build a relationship with that leasing agent, they're the one who's talking to the client. They're the one that has that opportunity to refer you. So I would recommend you go to leasing agents and just start out and say, hey, we work with a lot of clients in the area. We're finding some of them are transitioning to assisted memory care, whatever, living. I'd love to learn more about your facility. Can I take a tour? And just, that's how you start the relationship. And now you take the tour and you ask questions, you build a relationship, and that's where it starts. And then you just work that relationship, you nurture that relationship, you check in with them periodically. Maybe you visit them, bring them a coffee, bring them some donuts. Maybe you say, hey, if you have a podcast, bring them on your podcast. If you have an office, have them come in and do an office meeting. Just find ways that you can like pour into them. If you have a social, just do a video on social with them. Plug them on social. Do anything you can to just further that relationship. So where you stay top of mind so that when somebody comes in, they think of you, they connect you, and boom, magic happens.
Great idea. This is a great process, but I can already hear someone's listening and say, Kyle, I did that, but Sally already has a relationship with the leasing agent. So, they already have a preferred agent or the office of X, Y, and Z is just right down the street, so they'll probably get the business. What do you say to that?
Fuck them.
All right, next question is...
Is that how, if that stops you, you probably don't have a very good real estate business. If you stop every time somebody's like, oh, well, I know a realtor. Oh, okay, never mind. My bad. I'm going to walk away now. Like, if that scares you away from pursuing an opportunity, like, just give up your real estate license now. I find that as an opportunity to motivate me, right? If they say that, oh, we have a relationship with so-and-so. Oh, that's awesome. Tell me a little bit more about, how things work. What do they do for you? And then there's a question, you can use this in so many ways. I never thought about it in this scenario, but like if I'm recruiting somebody, I ask a very simple question, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your broker and their ability to help you accomplish the goals you've set for yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? The answer is never 10. I don't know if I've ever heard even more than 8, because otherwise we wouldn't even be having the conversation. But it's usually like in the 6 to 8 range. So they say like, oh, it's a 8. Okay, great. Well, what would it take to make that a 10? You could do that exact same thing here, right? Like, oh, you're working with Sally. Oh, cool. Out of curiosity, on a scale of 1 to 10, like, where would you rate Sally in her ability to help you lease out more units? She's 8. Well, what do you wish Sally could do, or what could Sally do to make that a 10? Well, it'd be really great if she did this, this, and this. All you have to do now is that. You don't have to do anything else. Like, whatever Sally's already doing, you're like, oh yeah, we do all that, but one of the other things, what we do a little different is boom, 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 and you tackle just the gap from what it takes to go from that 8 to a 10, and it's yours.
So, which is awesome.
By the way, like use this exact script like in a lot of your business, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate X? They tell you the number. Great, what would it take to turn that X into a 10? And then whatever they tell you is the only thing you need to talk about. You don't need to talk about anything else. You can use that on listing appointments, buyers, recruiting, this scenario, that scenario. You could freaking use it with your spouse maybe, I don't know.
You might not want to know some of those answers. 3. Ooh.
Or it's probably better if you're single. Yeah, you meet somebody, they're divorced, like, how would you rate your old spouse? 8, okay, well, 10, boom, just fill in the gap. What did their spouse not do? Just do what their spouse didn't do, and they're yours.
I can also hear people saying, because I can hear in the future and through cameras, cool, Kyle, well, they said they wanted brochures, they wanted videos, they wanted photos, they wanted floor plans, they wanted all these things. This can add up, this can get expensive.
Oh boy. You mean I have to invest in my business to
But
make
not,
it grow?
but not only that, what I think people don't typically do, and what I haven't seen a lot of our agents and our team do, usually you make relationships with lenders and you make relationships with title and escrow and that sort of stuff. But I don't think a lot of people have great like junk haulers or estate sale people or attorney. Like you can utilize these relationships to, one, build it for the rest of your business, but two, partner with this estate sale company. I know those are difficult to come by. My brother's in the middle of a lawsuit with one because they stole all his money, and they thought that's good. So like finding good reputable companies that make it smooth and that you can partner with, I think is great. So I mentioned a couple vendors. What other vendors can you think of, Kyle, that may be above and beyond the typical?
I mean, just the most logical ones. You got to help them get their house ready. So that typically starts with an estate sale. Then it starts by making improvements. It starts with helping them move. And then just like actual estate planning, like making sure that they have a trust and a will and all that stuff. I'd say that's like your foundational thing, is to make sure they have all their affairs in order. I mean, I'm baffled. Do you even have your property in trust? Right? I mean, we've done like, I don't know how many meetings here at the office talking about the importance of a trust. Bryan doesn't even have a damn trust.
I know.
We've talked about if you have kids or property, you got to have a trust.
I raised my hand saying I didn't have it. I know.
Yes.
I tried to set it up once. They asked me for 1,000 things. I said, never mind. And he never responded back.
TLDR.
Yeah, and I was like, that's too much.
So
don't do it like me. I'm doing it wrong. You should do it right.
That's a big one, right? Is like helping them just have their estate in order, especially if they're going into that level of care. Because if they're at memory care stage, that opens up a whole nother can of worms there. So helping somebody while they're still of sound mind, ideally, to set their trust up so that their wishes are carried out whenever their time comes.
So I hear you. I'm going to do this. I'm going to dive right in. I love what you're talking about. I'm going to meet someone. I'm going to find the listing agent. I'll go on their website or call them or whatever. I'll find, or not listing, leasing agent.
Yeah.
I'll bring them coffee and donuts, and I'll get a listing probably in a week. Like, what's a realistic expectation for how much time do I need to put in and how much will I get out? What are we looking at our ROI?
I don't do anything unless I'm going to do it for a year. That's my mindset. And so I go into it. If I'm doing geographic farming, like I'm not expecting to get anything in for 12 months. And I would do the same thing with this. Like, don't go into this expecting like talk to person, get listing. It doesn't work that way. In fact, that doesn't exist anywhere in this business. There's nowhere you can just walk in a door and get a listing. There's no lead source. There's no way to just get automatic listings. Like, you've got to work for it and you got to build a relationship. But I come from the mindset that I came into this industry with, which was I didn't think about how do I get like sell Sally's house and then sell John's house and then sell Fred's house. I came into it like, let me go get a relationship with the banks because they're foreclosing on all these homes. If I get the relationship with the bank, they're just going to assign me these foreclosed homes to go sell for them. So it was always about like getting streams of opportunities, not just getting the next opportunity. And so I look at building a relationship with one of these senior communities as another stream of listings. Because if I can get that relationship with that senior community, I'm not getting that relationship to get a listing. I'm getting that to get a stream of listings that could feed me and my family for years to come. So how much effort are you willing to put in to generating streams of listings? Hell, I just got back from Zillow Unlock and I had one goal the entire time I was there, is there's one particular person that I needed to talk to. I was able to carve out a 5-minute conversation with that person. And that was the whole reason I went to the damn event, was just to get that one conversation in, because that relationship with that one person will lead to a stream of listings. I don't know, I've been working that relationship for a year now, right? And I haven't gotten anything from it, and I'm not gonna stop because I know I'm right there at the gate, right? I'm in the red zone, as they say, in football season. I'm continuing to work that relationship. So I'm of the mindset, like I'll spend 2 years, right, on that, because I know what that stream of listing opportunities looks like. So that's how I go into everything, is like I'm 1 year minimum. Otherwise, don't do it at all.
I think that covers everything for me. I can't think of another question yet.
Yeah, all you got to do is just go do it. Like, and you touched on her, like, well, what about the marketing? Like, if you knew there was an opportunity to go and get, a stream of listings, like, do you think you could find a graphic designer, like a copywriter? Like, I don't know, maybe you could even just go online to this website called ChatGPT and like, hey, I'm a realtor. I'm looking to build a book to help seniors transition from their existing home into a facility. Can you please help me build a fucking book, please, please? And even put like, some prayer emojis in there and like, it'll build you a book. Like, it's not that hard. Like, don't overthink this, guys. I've actually talked to multiple people in my entrepreneur group that have built like their policies and procedures manuals through like ChatGPT.
Have they read them?
Yeah, that's another question. But at least it gives you a good foundation where you're not having to start from scratch. Yep. So that's how we use GPT for the most part, is it gives me a head start so I don't have to start from zero.
I like asking a lot of questions.
I bet you do. You're like, I don't know if that was mean, but
yeah, sure.
Cool. Well, hopefully you guys got a lot of value out of the show today. If you did, if you are watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button, let YouTube know. If you have questions or follow up on this, throw them in the comments section. Bryan and I respond to all of those personally. If you want more of our content, hit the subscribe button, the little notification bell. YouTube will notify you every time we drop a new episode. And if you are listening on a podcast platform, if you could write a quick little review about your biggest takeaway from the show today, that would be great. Those mean a lot to us. And obviously, subscribe. Maybe share it with a friend too. Yeah, that's what I got. Before we wrap today, we want to do something we call the Whissel Widget of the Week. This is something we utilize in our business. It saves us time, makes us more money, or just helps us have a little bit more fun.
You mentioned this on a previous episode, or an iOS 18 tip. And I've updated as well. And one of the things that I suffer from, my wife really suffers from, I know you struggle with at times, Kyle, is getting car sick. They have, and I don't know if you've ever been on TikTok and seen the car sick glasses. Have you seen those? Mm-hmm. They look like bendy straws with like liquid in it. They look ridiculous. And so I wasn't about that. But they have a tool on your iPhone that you can turn it on within the settings. I think it's in the accessibility settings. I would just type it up in the search bar, but it's called Show Vehicle Motion Cues. And what it'll do is it'll add some dots on your screen that move with you so as you're turning left, it'll turn. As you're turning right, it'll turn. As you speed up or slow down, it'll move. And apparently the idea is it's supposed to help your brain coincide with the fact that you're moving or you're stopping and deal with it. I don't know the science behind it, but apparently it works. So I've turned it on. It's a little bit annoying if you don't get car sick. So if you don't put it on. But I oftentimes while I'm driving, I'll tell my wife, I say, hey, just look up the address or find something to eat real quick. And she gets so dizzy looking at it for just a quick second, she can't deal with it. So we tried it and she's like, it's better. It's not perfect, but it's better. So That's my new feature.
Cool. Mine is something that plugs into your email and just actually can plug into everything you do within the Google Suite. But especially in email is where I find this to be the most valuable. It's their version of AI, which is called Gemini. So I have that set up for my email. What I love with it is that I literally open an email from somebody and I don't even have to read it. It's literally recommending how to reply to the damn email for me. Like, I literally open the email and it's like, here, for automated responses, here's a few responses that I think would be really good to this email. Like, insane how much time that will save me. Or if I need to curate or craft a fresh email to somebody, I can just type in like what I want to say and then it can put it into a well-crafted email to make me sound smarter, or that I put a little more time into it than it actually did. So just utilizing the Gemini plugin within Gmail, it also can integrate with everything else you do Google-wise. Sheets, docs, the whole nine with that. But that Gemini in Gmail, it's amazing. Top tier, as we like to say around here. So I hope that could be helpful for you, save you some time, maybe help, especially if you're like grammatically challenged, maybe English isn't your first language or you're just bad with grammar. I make mistakes all the time. That could just be something really, really beneficial to just level up the quality of the emails that you're sending out to prospective clients, maybe, or these senior facilities that you're focused on building relationships with. You want to come across as well-spoken, so it can be really, really helpful for you. With that said, guys, hope you got a lot of value out of the show today. If you want to stay connected with Bryan and I, we make it very simple to connect on Instagram. I'm at Kyle Whissel. He is at Bryan Koci. I want to thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Whissel Way podcast. We'll see you next time.
See ya.